All right. Let's see. Something to look for. Then I'm going to
Good morning. The meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March 10, 2026 for the Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection has been called to order. I say good morning once again to everyone listening and viewing. Welcome to the first Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection meeting here in St. John in the Cleon H. Creaky Legislative Conference Room, which I have the honor to chair. Soon will be here alongside my seasoned colleague, Vice Chair Senator Novelli Francis Jr. I want to extend a warm welcome to all committee and non-committee members in attendance. Your presence, participation, and support of the legislative process are greatly appreciated. As always, I begin by expressing deep gratitude to my dynamic duo, Ms. Watley and Ms. Michael. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for everything you do daily, especially making this meeting happen here today. To those watching or listening across our Virgin Islands, thank you for tuning in, and thank you for engaging in the legislative process. Good morning, colleagues and members of the community. March is Virgin Islands History Month, a time for us to celebrate the rich culture, resilience, and contributions of the people who have shaped these islands into the vibrant community we proudly call home. It is also National Women's History Month, when we honor the countless women whose leadership, courage, and dedication continue to strengthen our families, our institutions, and our society. Women in charge. So I don't debate it today. Additionally, March, then boy himself crack a smile, my son. All right. I ain't getting no problems later. Additionally, March is recognized as Social Workers Month, giving us the opportunity to acknowledge the compassionate professionals who dedicated their lives to supporting individuals and families through some of life's most challenging moments. Their service is vital to the well-being of our community. As we reflect on these observances, let us also remember the values that define us as Virgin Islanders. Our spirit of caring, sharing, and looking out for one another. That spirit continues to guide us and strengthen our community. Before I move forward, I'd like to say congratulations to the Virgin Islands Fire Emergency Medical Services Center, who graduated another class of proud Virgin Island firefighters, emergency medical technicians. And I thank the director who's here and the assistant commissioner, the whole leadership of the Virgin Island FEMS family. Congratulations. You know, it's surprisingly that under some bad circumstances, I had a little tragedy in the family, by violence. And the very next day, true. The Monday or Tuesday after, I saw all of them at the hospital working. They were riding the trucks, going in and out. So I'd just like to commend you and the team. They're working. You have them out there already. Thank you. Director Joshin, I know you'll be proud as well too. My hope is that this year continues to be one filled with gratitude, unity, good health, and progress for every Virgin Islander. Let us move forward together with faith, purpose, and a shared commitment to building a brighter future for our people. And I'd just like to, before I move on with today's business, I'd just like to say to all of us in the Virgin Islands, if we just share a little more love each day, this place would be a better place. I don't know why so many people are so angry, but if we just share a little bit of love, things will be a better place. Just a little bit more love, man. It can't kill us. A simple greeting, a good morning, good afternoon, sometimes you just hear people rumbling in their throats. Just a little bit more love in this community, and I think that would help us over. Money, nothing could beat that. Just a little bit more love. And that's me to you. Today, the committee will receive testimony from representatives representatives of the Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Services, the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority, the Caribbean Green Technology Center, and Vitima regarding Bill number 36-0232, related to the disposal of green waste using controlled incineration technologies. The committee will also hear from the Virgin Islands Lottery, the Office of Management and Budget, and the Department of Finance regarding Bill number 36-0233, which addresses amendments to the Virgin Islands Lottery. We have two bills in front of the committee today. Thank you once again to my colleagues, testifiers, and the public for your continued engagement. Let us proceed with today's agenda in the spirit of service, collaboration, and gratitude. Let's begin today's work on behalf of the people of the Virgin Islands. Madam Clerk, could I please have a roll call?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Senator Ray Fonseca. Senator Fonseca, here. Senator Novell E. Francis Jr. Senator Francis Jr., absent. Senator Alma Francis Heiliger.
Present.
Senator Francis Heiliger, present. Senator Kenneth L. Gittins. Here. Senator Gittins, present. Senator Franklin D. Johnson. Senator Johnson, absent. Senator Carla J. Joseph. Present, Senator Joseph, present. Senator Avery L. Lewis.
Present.
Senator Lewis, present. Mr. Chair, you have 5 members present, 2 members absent.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there any correspondence from any committee members to be read into the record?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
You may proceed.
Dated March 9th, 2026, the Honorable Senator Avery L. Lewis, Chairman, Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, Capitol Building, Charlotte, Amalie. P.O. Box 1690, St. Thomas, VI 00804. The Honorable Senator Franklin D. Johnson's excuse letter. Dear Senator Avery L. Lewis, please be advised that I will be unable to attend today's Tuesday, March 10, 2026, Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection hearing, scheduled for 11 a.m. at the Cleon H. Creaky Legislative Conference Room, St. John. I apologize for my absence and any resulting inconvenience it may cause. In the interim, I kindly request that my office be provided with the copies of all circulating documents distributed. Thank you for your consideration and understanding. Sincerely, Franklin D. Johnson, Senator, 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands. This concludes the reading of the correspondences.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any correspondences from any invited testifiers to be read on the record?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The Committee of Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection stands in recess for 2 minutes. Good morning again. The Committee of Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection is back on the record. I'd like to recognize my esteemed colleagues, Senator Novali Francis Jr. Madam Clerk, please mark Senator Francis Jr. as present. And give me a no tally, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you have 6 members present, 1 member excused.
Thank you. We definitely have a quorum. Madam Clerk, please read the agenda. Sorry, and I neglected to say that we do have online Senator Clifford Joseph. He'll be participating today online. Non-committee member. Madam Clerk, please read today's agenda into the record. Block 1.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Agenda dated March 3rd, 2026. The Committee on Government Operations, Veteran Affairs, and Consumer Protection has been scheduled a meeting for Tuesday, March 10th, 11 a.m. in the Cleone H. Creaky Legislative Conference Room on St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands, to provide updates on the following agencies and consideration of the following bills. Block 1. Bill number 36-0232, an act amending Act number 8018 to authorize the disposal of green waste using controlled incineration technologies, including air curtain incinerators, and for other purposes, proposed by Senator Clifford A. Joseph, Sr., and sponsored by Senator Avery L. Lewis. Invited testifiers, Mr. Antonio Stevens, Director, VI Fire and Emergency Medical Services, Mr. Hannibal Mike Ware, Executive Director, Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority, Mr. Gregory Guanell, PhD, Director, Caribbean Green Technology Center, Mr. Darrell D. Jashin, Director, Vitima. Mr. Chair, this concludes the reading of Block 1.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Starting from my far left, I'll ask the testifiers to introduce themselves, to put your name and position on the record, entity you're representing here today. The far left media. Go ahead.
Good morning. Alex Bruni, Chief Engineer, Waste Management.
Daryl Joshin, Director of Virgin Islands Territorial.
Pull the mic closer, Director.
Daryl Joshin, Director of the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency.
Thank you. I don't think media. One more time.
Greg Wanell, Caribbean Green Technology Center, University of the Virgin Islands.
Darrell Griffith, CFO, Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority.
Sheenay Sanderson, Chief of Solid Waste.
Good morning. Antonio Stevens, Director of the Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Service.
Good morning. Karen Stevenson, Assistant Director of PIFMS.
Good morning. Magabi Calix, Deputy Chief of Operations for the island of St. John. Good morning again. Magabi Calix, Deputy Chief of Operations for the island of St. John.
Thank you. Testifier, just a quick reminder, housekeeping rules, just put your phone on vibrate or silent. Also, when we speak in, state your name and position for the stenographer as well. Again, good morning. We have bill before us, bill number 36-0232, an act amending number 8018 to authorize, an act amending act number 8018 to authorize the disposal of green waste using controlled incineration technologies, including air curtain incinerators, and for other purposes. Who speaks to this bill?
I do.
Senator, you got put on your camera, please. We could hear you. Media, can you assist Senator Joseph, please?
Well, Camera there, huh?
I could hear you loud and clear. So.
I'm on. I already take out the I know why you ain't see me.
Classic breakfast dishes, French toast.
Senator Joseph,
Yes.
Your camera is on?
Yeah, the camera is on. I mean, I want. Okay, I just turn it off for a minute. Let me see. Get it cross. I just turn it off. I turn it back on. Let me see if I get back through.
The Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection stands in recess for 1 minute. Again, good morning. The Committee on Government Operation, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection is back on the record. We had some technical difficulties, but I know the able-bodied staff, we have it under control now. Senator Joseph, you there with me?
Yes, I am.
All right, could I see your camera, please? Yeah, that's my boy. You may proceed, Senator Joseph.
Good morning, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, colleagues. I offer and seek your support for Bill number 36-0232, an act amending Act number 8018 to authorize the disposal of green waste using controlled incineration technology, including air curtain incinerator and for other purpose. From 2015 to 2019, I served as the director of the Virgin Islands Fire Service and spent my career as a firefighter, which gives me the understanding of the importance of safely disposing of waste, especially green waste. Last fall, I had the opportunity to visit a site for an actual demonstration of this technology and can say without hesitation that the implementation of Bill number 36-0232 will serve as a benefit to the people and the territory of the Virgin Islands. Immediately after the storm of 2017, with much deserved uncertainty, this body banned the burning of fallen trees as a result of a natural disaster. At the time, many were unclear about the environmental impact new technology would have. However, with time and science, we all have a better, clear understanding that safe technology exists that can safely dispose of green waste. Control incineration systems such as air curtain incinerators and other engineered burnt technologies offer sufficient advantages. These systems are designed to improve combustion efficiency by introducing controlled airflow that increase burn temperatures and reduce smoke, particulate matter, and unburned material, which provides a safer and more controlled method of debris reduction. From a public safety perspective, properly managing debris reduction is essential so that our landfills do not continue to source for potential fires, placing firefighters and our community at risk. Controlled incineration technology allows communities to address these hazards in a timely manner while maintaining appropriate operational and environmental safeguards. In addition to safe benefits, these technology can reduce the burden on the already limited landfill capacity, decrease transportation costs associated with getting debris off island, and support faster recovery and after natural disasters. I have always said on this floor that enforcement and proper regulation must be followed, and it is not different with this technology. When operated properly, controlled incineration can be an effective and responsible component of not only of Waste Management Authority, but our emergency preparedness. For this reason, I ask for your support of Bill number 36-0232 to allow controlled incineration technology under proper oversight and regulation in the territory. So, Mr. Chair, at this time, I'd like to, in advance, thank my colleagues in this committee for the support that I expect them to support this bill. And thank you for this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Colleagues, we're going to go straight to the testifiers. We're going to begin with the Virgin Islands Fire EMS Director Antonio Stevens. You may proceed.
Good morning, Honorable Senator Avery L. Lewis, Chair, Committee on Government Operations, Veteran Affairs, and Consumer Protection, other distinguished committee members, and the listening and viewing audience. I am Antonio Stevens, the Director of the Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Service. Also appearing on behalf of the agency, our Assistant Director of Fire, Clarence Stevenson, and St. John Deputy Chief of Operations, Magabi Calix. Senator, thank you for the opportunity to testify on Bill 36-0232, an act authorizing the disposal of green waste using controlled incineration technologies, including air curtain incinerators. The Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Service welcomes the adoption of improved waste management strategies in the territory, and we do support Bill 36-0232. The bill amends Act 8018 to grant authority to Waste Management Authority and landfill operators to burn green waste using controlled incinerators, air curtain incinerators, or other substantially similar technology. If not effectively managed, green waste can accumulate at the landfills and create conditions that are conducive to fires. And as we have seen in recent years, the fires at the territory's landfills can be major events that last for days or even weeks and require significant resources to extinguish. Bill 36-02032, specifically the language proposed to replace subsection A in Act 8018, gives the Waste Management Authority the legal authorization needed to implement an effective green waste management strategy, and the Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Service is in support of the language as written. The new subsection B proposed in the bill outlines specific permitting requirements for open burning of green waste on private property. While these requirements closely align with the agency's current criteria for issuing burn permits, the Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Service recommends the following revisions: adding language that states the burning will occur during daylight hours only, removing during daylight hours from subsection B2, replacing Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Service with Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Service. I say again, replacing Virgin Islands Fire Services with Virgin Islands Fire and Emergency Medical Services. We hope that this body will consider these recommendations and will take favorable action on a final draft of the bill that incorporates them. Thank you again for affording us the opportunity to testify on this important legislation. We await your questions.
Thank you. Director Stevens, the best of your knowledge, on you giving testimony from FEMS today. Only you giving testimony.
That is correct.
Thank you. Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority, sorry, I was a director. CFO Griffin, you may proceed.
Good day, Honorable Senator Avery Lewis, Chairman of the Committee on Government Operations, Veteran Affairs, and Consumer Protection, other committee members, and members of the viewing and listening audience. I'm Darrell Griffith, the Chief Financial Officer of the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority. I appear today with the authority's Chief Engineer, Mr. Alex Bruni, and Chief of Solid Waste, Ms. Sheena Isanison, to provide testimony on the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority's planned use of air curtain burners to manage green waste. We appreciate the opportunity to clarify the authority's permitted and appropriate methods for the disposal of green waste, with a specific focus on the authority's planned use of air curtain burners as a modern, controlled, environmentally sound system for managing vegetative debris across the territory. The U.S. Virgin Islands faces structural and environmental challenges common to small island communities, including limited land availability, high per capita waste generation, and costly logistical constraints and restrict long-term reliance on landfills. These challenges are well documented in global and regional research on island waste systems. Waste management is simultaneously navigating major priorities such as landfill expansion, closure mandates, and compliance with federal consent agreements. As testified previously, the authority's long-term strategy places significant emphasis on waste diversion, especially organic and combustible materials, which make up a substantial portion of the territory's waste stream. Waste characterization data confirms that the USVI has meaningful opportunities to divert vegetative waste from disposal practices that overburden the landfills. Today, most vegetative debris, such as tree limbs, brush, yard waste, and storm debris, is still directed to our already constrained landfills, creating fire hazards, space limitations, and operational inefficiencies. Air curtain burners present a safer, cleaner, and federally recognized alternative. What is an air curtain burner and what it's not? An air curtain burner is an environmentally sound engineered combustion system using a high-velocity curtain of air across the top of a burn chamber to trap smoke and particles, reburn them at higher temperatures, and drastically reduce visible emissions. This result is a cleaner, more complete burn with far less smoke. Air curtain burners are formally recognized and approved for vegetative debris reduction by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. These systems are safe and widely used after hurricanes because they rapidly reduce storm debris while adhering to environmental standards. An air curtain burner is not an open burn pile. Managing emissions is a critical component of operating any waste reduction technology. And air curtain burners are specifically engineered to maintain environmentally safe smoke levels during operation. Unlike open burning, where smoke is uncontrolled and can carry ash, particles, and visible emissions into surrounding communities, the air curtain burners use a powerful air curtain to create a high-efficient, high-temperature burn. This process dramatically reduces smoke, minimizes particular pollution, and ensures compliance with strict federal opacity standards. By controlling opacity, which means the amount of light blocked by emitted smoke, we ensure that operation remains cleaner, safer, and significantly less impactful on public health and the environment. The air curtain burner's ability to consistently remain within allowable opacity limits is one of the primary reasons this equipment is recommended. It provides the authority with a reliable, environmentally sound method of managing vegetative waste while reducing nuanced smoke, improving air quality, and preventing violations that could arise from uncontrolled burning. And understanding smoke levels, which we refer to as opacity. Opacity refers to the percentage of light blocked by smoke. 0 opacity means clear air. 100% opacity means thick black smoke. Federal requirements mandate that air-controlled burners operate at 10% opacity or less, demonstrating a highly controlled, low-emission burn. Short duration opacity allowances up to 35% apply only during the first 30 minutes of startup. Waste Management is evaluating the air burners, a high-capacity, above-ground unit designed specifically for clean wood and green waste. The key features are it processes 6 to 10 tons per hour, uses a clean Tier 4 diesel engine, refractory line firebox for high-temperature controlled burns. It has a dual rear doors for ash biochar removal, and is deployable at the Anguilla Bovoni or other vegetative waste sites. What can be burned and what cannot? What's allowed are tree trunks, branches and brush, stumps and yard trimmings, clean untreated lumber, Storm debris consisting only of vegetation. And what's prohibited? Paint or pressure-treated wood, construction and demolition debris, household waste, plastics, engineered wood, hazardous or medical waste. This ensures the system is only used for natural, clean materials. How the system operates: a startup, ignition using clean kindling, no fuel accelerants, air curtain activation. The blower creates a high-speed air barrier across the firebox. Control loading. Material is added steadily to maintain temperatures of 1600 to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. Smoke monitoring. Less than 10% opacity during normal operations. Up to 35% opacity allowed during the first 30 minutes of startup only. The safety controls: ember screens, dust control, and clean surroundings reduce risk. Ash handling. After cooling, the remaining ash or biochar is safely removed. Record keeping. Operators log burns, emissions, readings, and maintenance for regulatory compliance. The territorial green waste volumes. To fully illustrate the necessity of air-controlled burners, Waste Management provides the following volumes of green waste. The daily green waste intake. Territorial, 80 to 85 tons per day. St. Thomas, 20 tons per day. St. Croix, 60 tons per day. Annual green waste intake. Territorial, 29,200 to 31,000 tons per year. St. Thomas, 7,300 tons per year. St. Croix, 21,900 tons per year. And the reason why St. Thomas numbers are significantly lower is reduced because Waste Management currently cannot accept green waste at the Bovoni landfill, which has no available space. This forces residents and haulers to store material or dispose of it unofficially, increasing fire risk and the likelihood of illegal dumping. To address the current inability to accept green waste on St. Thomas, Waste Management is actively implementing temporary alternatives to reduce stockpiling, fire risk, and illegal dumping until the air curtain burners are procured and operational. In the interim, we're pursuing short-term solutions through private partnerships, allowing approved haulers and vegetation management companies to assist with processing green waste off-site. Additionally, Waste Management is working with the Department of Property and Procurement to identify and secure suitable temporary locations where green waste can be safely staged and managed. These measures will help stabilize conditions on St. Thomas in the short term, while the acquisition of the air curtain burners will ultimately provide a long-term, environmentally responsible solution for handling green waste efficiently and safely. The environmental and community benefits. It protects landfill capacity, reduces vegetative material by up to 90%, keeps bulky tree debris out of Anguilla and Bovoni, extending landfill lifespan. Cleaner air compared to open burning. Significantly reduces smoke and particulates. Meets strict EPA opacity limits. Avoids methane emissions created when vegetation decomposes in landfills. Disaster readiness. Provides rapid processing after hurricanes or storms. Reduces hauling, transportation costs, and congestion at debris sites. Helps maintain smooth landfill operations during emergencies. And cost efficiency. Cuts hauling and disposal expenses. Produces biochar, which can be used for soil improvement, erosion control, and landscaping. Fire risk reduction. During the period of 2024 and 2025, a total of 15 fire incidents were recorded. The total number of incidents increased between the 2 years. In 2024, we had 6 total incidents, 5 on St. Croix and 1 in St. Thomas. In 2025, we had 9 total incidents, 6 on St. Croix and 3 on St. Thomas. The 2024 incidents occurred during the following specific weeks, and I won't read through all of those specific weeks. But what it does is support sustainability goals. It moves the territory towards more modern and environmentally responsible waste practices. It helps waste management meet recycling and diversion targets. And it also, illegal dumping remains a significant issue, particularly at bin sites across the territory. Giving residents officially permitted green waste disposal sites reduces environmental and public health risk. Senators, with 80 to 85 tons of green waste generated daily and up to 31,000 tons annually, the need for air curtain burners on both St. Thomas and St. Croix is both clear and urgent. These systems will protect and extend landfill capacity, provide a cleaner, federally approved method for vegetative waste disposal, strengthen our hurricane response capabilities, reduce illegal dumping, support waste management's long-term diversion and sustainability goals. On behalf of the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority and our Executive Director, Mr. Hannibal Mike Ware, I respectfully urge your support for approval, funding, and deployment of air curtain burners within the territory. This concludes my testimony. Our team and I remain available to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, CFO Griffith. At this time, we'll get testimony from Dr. Gunnell, Caribbean Green Technology Center.
Good morning, Senator Avery, Chairman of the Committee of Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection, other committee members of the 36th Legislature of the Virgin Islands, and those in the audience. So my name is Greg Guannell. I'm the Director of the Caribbean Green Technology Center at the University of the Virgin Islands. We develop and share knowledge of how infrastructure, ecosystem, and institutions interact in the U.S. Virgin Islands with the goal of supporting more resilience and sustainable development. Thank you for the opportunity to provide comments on Bill 36-0232. My goal today in this testimony is to provide technical context on the proposed use of controlled incineration technologies for vegetative debris disposal. I will not provide any vote for or against this bill. I will just provide technical information. In preparing these comments, I reviewed information on how curtain incinerators operate, how they are used in other jurisdictions, and the operational consideration associated with their use. My comments focus on several topics: the technology itself and how it's typically used, potential air quality consideration, the influence of weather and site location, operational and cost consideration, and how other jurisdictions, including Puerto Rico and other Caribbean islands, manage vegetative waste. I will also highlight several technical considerations in the bill related to monitoring, setback, and operational safeguards. So the purpose of the bill 36-0232 proposed to amend Act 8018 to allow the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority and landfill operators to dispose of vegetative debris using controlled incineration technologies, including air curtain incinerators. The bill also states that other methods such as composting, mulching, and shredding remain permissible options. Air curtain incinerators are widely used in the United States to rapidly reduce large volume of vegetative debris, particularly after storm and land clearing operations. The bill also allows private individuals to burn vegetative debris generated on their property with a permit from the Virgin Islands Fire and Medical Emergency Services. Private burning must occur 50 feet from any structure or 15 feet from any structure if using an approved closed-top burner. Burning must be attended and conducted during favorable atmospheric conditions. So those are the key takeaways from the bill. So Mr. Griffith summarized the technology. I will not go over all the detail, but I will just focus on a few key items because I will use them later. So the burning achieved 90 to 95% reduction in debris volume, 90 to 95% reduction in particulate emission compared to open burning. The burning of vegetative debris does generate emissions, especially fine particulate matter and nitrogen oxides, NOx. Carbon monoxide and other gases are generally present at very low level and are not usually the dominant air quality concern for vegetative debris burning. Burning also produces ash, approximately 5 to 10% of the original debris mass. Depending on the composition of what was burned, some can be considered hazardous material, but if it's mostly vegetative debris or mostly untreated wood, most of them can be disposed in a landfill for disposal. So air curtain burners are used in several US states, including Florida and Texas, particularly for hurricane debris management, forestry debris, land clearing waste. However, these states do not rely exclusively on burning for vegetative waste management. Municipal programs also use grinding, mulch production, or composting. Burning is often used when debris volumes exceed grinding capacity, large woody material is difficult to process, or debris must be reduced quickly to maintain landfill capacity. This happens after hurricanes or tornadoes or typical disasters. Most of the issues that come up are related to air quality impact. Air quality is the primary environmental issue associated with vegetative debris burning and often determines whether communities throughout the states accept or oppose burn operation. Smoke plumes from debris burning can affect areas approximately 0.2 to 1 mile downwind, depending on wind speed and atmospheric condition. The most important pollutant associated with burning is the fine particulate matter. EPA has set regulatory threshold of 35 microgram per meter cube over 24 hours and 9 microgram per meter cube annually. So those would have to be monitored. So just to conclude on the air quality, just mentioning some health impacts. So the short-term exposure to this particulate matter include asthma attack, respiratory irritation, eye irritation, increased emergency room visits. Long-term exposure includes cardiovascular disease, chronic respiratory disease, and an overall increased mortality risk. There are some methods that the EPA has created. I will not go over that for time. So it's worth noting that vegetative debris also creates NOx, nitrogen oxide, and volatile organic compound, VOCs. In sunlight, these gases can react to form ground-level ozone, which can be dangerous if they exceed certain EPA threshold. However, ozone formation typically occurs on regional scales, whereas the exposure to particulate matter occurs locally near burn site. So in general, this particulate matter is really the dominant air quality concern. Air quality impacts depend strongly on wind speed and atmospheric stability. Lower wind speed reduce pollutant dispersion and can increase smoke accumulation if burning occurs frequently. Typical debris burn permits require a minimum wind speed of approximately 5 miles per hour, and burning needs to be suspended if winds exceed 15 to 20 miles per hour. Large states such as Texas and Florida often operate burn sites in rural areas with large buffer distance from home. So what I did is I took 3-4 years of wind speed observation from the meteorological station around the island to kind of get a sense of what's going on for us in the territory. So wind observation in the territory frequently show very low wind speed, less than 1 mile per hour overnight and early morning. So that goes back to the comment earlier about burning needed to happen during the day. So the stronger winds are during the afternoon sea breeze periods. The other thing that I found was that the Caribbean trade winds tend to weaken during the month of August to October, which are also the hottest months of the year, conducive to this ground level ozone formation. Again, it requires a fair amount of VOC and NOx, but those months are also the hottest, which are conducive to this formation of those gases. So there may be a risk that burning during this month can create hazardous smoke conditions for people living near the burn pit, not only the ozone, but also the accumulation of smoke in the air that is not dispersed by wind. Cost and operational considerations. So using this method to manage debris requires an initial capital cost and maintenance cost. Typical costs associated with air curtain burning include equipment purchases, operation costs such as blower fuel, train operators, and general maintenance, and insurance. So what I found was that insurance tend to sometimes be a deal breaker. Some program, and one in particular in Colorado, they have reported insurance premium exceeding $100,000 per year due to the wildfire and liability classification. Furthermore, burn pits must be attended continuously during operation, and ash must be transported to the landfill, which in this case would be close by for the if the operation happens in the landfill, but discussion needs to be had with private properties owners. So now I'm just going to talk about some general consideration about the bill itself. So the bill established setback distances for private burning of 50 feet from structures, 15 feet if using an approved closed-top burner. However, from my research, typical distances in other jurisdictions are usually around 50 to 100 feet. Furthermore, the bill does not currently define maximum pile size burn for private burning or burn volume. So again, other jurisdictions have guidelines, so they have maximum pile diameter of 3 to 8 feet, maximum pile height of 3 to 6 feet. The burn volume must be less than 1 cubic yard, and the burn duration limited to the same day burning, so no overnight burning. Also, I noted that the bill specifies vegetative debris, but does not describe procedure to ensure burn material is free of non-vegetative contaminants. If vegetative debris becomes mixed with treated wood, plastic, painted material, household waste, combustion can release additional toxic pollutants, including dioxins and heavy metals. So it may be important to clarify, also I was thinking about the sargassum issue. So it may be important to clarify whether marine biomass such as sargassum is included in the definition of vegetative debris. Unlike terrestrial vegetation, sargassum can accumulate trace material from seawater, particularly arsenic, with measured concentration in a Caribbean sample ranging from 30 to 100 microgram per kilogram dry weight. When biomass contained metal is burned, these elements do not disappear, but they concentrate in the remaining ash or may be emitted in fine particulate matter. Sargassum also contains high level of salt, which can affect combustion processes and increase corrosion in equipment. For this reason, several Caribbean jurisdictions treat marine biomass separately from land-based vegetative debris when evaluating disposal or processing options. Many jurisdictions therefore require debris inspection and separation procedure before burning. So going back to the bill authorizes controlled burning, but it does not specify the following: setback distance for the VI Waste Management Authority or landfill operation, meteorological operation limits, I think we can be stronger, air quality monitoring requirements, and contamination control procedures. Many jurisdictions address these issues through operational permits or regulations. So I'm going to talk about the alternative before concluding. So many jurisdictions manage rooting vegetative debris through grinding, mulching, and composting. These methods, as mentioned by Mr. Griffith, produce material used for landscaping, soil improvement, erosion control, or agriculture. The thinking is that composting preserves the biomass and produces a suitable product for soil amendment, whereas burning converts biomass into ash. Puerto Rico has a composting program. After Hurricane Maria, mulching operation processed approximately 5,000 to 6,000 cubic yards of vegetative debris per day. In the rest of the Caribbean, St. Lucia promotes household composting and organic waste diversion. Barbados operates green waste composting facility. The Cayman Islands have grinding and mulch distribution program. Other islands have or promote similar program. However, they do burn when volume exceeds the capacity of their operations. So in conclusion, air curtain incinerators are effective at rapidly reducing large volume of vegetative debris, particularly after storm or land clearing operation. At the same time, combustion produces particulate emissions that can affect nearby communities under certain meteorological conditions. For this reason, many jurisdictions combine debris burning with other methods such as grinding, mulching, and composting, and establish operational safeguards, including setback distance, monitoring, and debris separation procedure when burning occurs near populated area. So this is the end of my testimony. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to receive any questions.
Thank you. Dr. Ghana, I'd like you to please provide your testimony to my team so we could circulate it to the members immediately. Director Joshin, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Senator Avery L. Lewis, Chairman, Committee on Government Operations.
Get closer to the mic, Director.
Good afternoon, Senator Avery L. Lewis, Chairman, Committee on Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection, other committee members, the 36 legislative staff, and those in the viewing and listening audience. I'm Darrell D. Joshin, the Director of the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency, VITEMA. I'm here today to provide the testimony on Bill number 36-0232, an act amending Act number 8018 to authorize the disposal of green waste using controlled incineration technologies, including air curtain incinerators, and for other purposes, dated February 2nd, 2026, proposed by Senator Clifford A. Joseph, Sr. According to the Federal Emergency Management Agency in a report published on December 9th, 2017, the United States Virgin Islands Hurricanes Irma and Hurricane Maria generated 850,000 cubic yards of debris. Of that amount, an estimated 60%, or 510,000 cubic yards, comprised vegetation debris such as downed tree limbs, trees, palm fronds, brush, and grass. By March 23rd, 2018, the Government House reported an even larger amount, an estimated 750,000 cubic yards of vegetation debris had been picked up across all islands. FEMA, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the Emergency Protection Agency are normally the lead federal agencies working in conjunction with local government agencies to reduce debris following a Stafford Act approved disaster by the President of the United States. Overall, debris is categorized as power utility and telecommunications debris, construction and demolition, or C&D debris, white goods debris, metal debris, hazardous materials debris, marine debris, and vegetation debris. Through contracts by the federal agencies or the government of the U.S. Virgin Islands, most debris is reduced and then transported outside the territory. The one exception is vegetation debris. Currently, vegetation debris must stay in the U.S. Virgin Islands as determined by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Normally, vegetation debris is reduced in volume through various techniques. After debris reduction, the vegetation is sent to the VI Waste Management Authority landfills at Bovoni on St. Thomas and Anguilla on St. Croix. Currently, there are no authorized permanent vegetation debris locations on St. John or Water Island. A joint U.S. Virgin Islands task force formed following Hurricanes Irma and Maria concluded that there were three options for reduction of the vegetation debris: composting, mulching, and air curtain incineration. However, the 32nd Legislature passed Act 8018 on December 21st, 2017, after being vetoed by the Governor on December 13th, 2017. Act 8018 bans the burning of all fallen trees and other vegetation debris generated because of a natural disaster, thus subsequently eliminating the air curtain incineration option. The purpose of today's hearing is to present discussion on amending Act 8018 to include the air curtain incineration as an additional option, along with composting and mulching, and the reduction of vegetation debris generated during a disaster. The bottom line is that all natural disasters in U.S. Virgin Islands generate a tremendous amount of vegetation debris in a very short period. There is very little room to store vegetation waste, and reduction techniques such as composting and mulching, while very feasible options, take up precious land area, are slow, and produce limited results. When vegetation debris is properly separated from other types of debris, the air curtain incineration option provides both a quick and environmentally friendly solution. By definition, an air curtain incinerator is a pollution-controlled device that burns vegetation debris using a high-velocity fan to generate an air curtain over a steel box. This technology increases combustion temperatures and efficiency, significantly reducing smoke and particulate matter compared to open burning. A self-contained above-ground air current incinerator can reduce vegetation debris at a rate of 10 tons per hour or 40 cubic yards per hour. This translates to 3,360 cubic yards a week, running 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. As testimony to the environmentally friendly nature of the air curtain incinerator, on April 17, 2024, the United States Environmental Protection Agency removed, under the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 40, Part 60, Paragraph 60.2069, the Title V permit requirements for air curtain incinerators, as long as it burns only wood waste, clean lumber, yard waste, or a mixture of these types of waste. To qualify for exclusion, and I quote, the air curtain incinerators must be used to combust debris in an area declared a state of emergency by the local or state government or the president under the authority of the Stafford Act. The duration of use without needing to notify the EPA is 8 weeks, and if that period lasts more than 8 weeks, you must notify the EPA and request permission to continue to operate for an additional 8 weeks. At the end of 16 weeks from the date of the air curtain started operations, you must cease operations unless the EPA has approved in writing your request to continue operation, end quote. Currently, the only requirement from the EPA is that an air curtain incinerator complies with the opacity requirements under the other solid waste incinerators rule. Opacity is the measure of visible smoke emissions. This rule requires a check as defined in paragraph 62.14755A with opacity of less than or equal to 10% during operation and less than or equal to 35% during startup period within the first 30 minutes of operation. The use of an air curtain incinerator in U.S. Virgin Islands following a natural disaster provides for a quick and environmentally safe method to reduce vegetation debris. Additionally, this method deploys pests and pathogens, making it a valuable alternative to chipping and hauling, which can spread infestations. The process achieves a significant reduction in volume, converting 95 to 98% of the waste into sterile ash. VITEMA is in full support of the proposed amendment to Act Number 8018, especially during times of natural disasters with generation of large volumes of vegetation debris in a short period of time and cannot be transported outside the territory. Thank you for the opportunity to present testimony on Bill Number 36-0232. I'm prepared to answer any questions any members of this committee may have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Joshin. That concludes all the testimony from everyone. Colleagues, we're going to go to a 4-minute round. The order today will be Senator Gittins, Senator Carla Joseph, Senator Ray Fonseca, Senator Novelli Francis Jr., Senator Alma Francis Heiliger, then myself, and then the bill sponsor. Director Joshin, let me ask you this. Do you remember the dollar value that it was to remove all the debris after the storms?
I don't have that information, Senator.
Okay. Do you remember the dollar value that it took when we had the last major fire in the vegetation area, either you, Director Stevens, and the Bovoni landfill?
I would say that was well over $1 million for that 30 days.
Well over $1 million. Good. Thank you. And how, Director Stevens, to the best of your knowledge, or to Assistant Director, I know he was present, how long did that fire last?
17 days, Senator.
17 days?
Yes, sir.
Was that pure vegetation?
Second? No, it wasn't 23, it was 17. The question again, Senator.
I was asking you, to the best of your knowledge, first, if to the best of your knowledge, and hold you to it, it was 17 days or more?
Between 17 and 23 days.
Okay, good.
Right.
And then, to the best of your knowledge, that pile was just pure vegetation?
It was mostly vegetation, but there was some mixed material in there as well.
Okay, where did the pile come from?
Most of the pile came from hurricanes Irma and Maria.
Okay. And then we still were accumulating upon it, right?
We still accumulating more vegetative waste and other debris. One of the things that was brought out in both a couple of testifiers was there was mixed stuff that should not have been in there in those piles. But again,
but some things that we could avoid and some things are hidden. I think the landfill operator does a good job, with it for the most part, at the both landfills and waste management too as well. Senator Gittins, you will be recognized for your 4 minutes. I apologize.
Thank you.
Can you please recognize the mic of Senator Gittins? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The mic of Senator Gittins.
Send the power switch.
It's me. It's not them. Thank you. Good afternoon to all.
Good afternoon, Senator.
I was wondering if I'm in here alone. So, with regards to Bill 36 as 0232, I wholeheartedly support this measure, especially because it modernizes how we manage our green waste here in the Virgin Islands. And right now, the buildup of vegetation debris at the landfill sites creates a fire hazard and operational challenges for our government across the board. St. Croix, St. Thomas, well, landfill and St. John, but in both districts. And by allowing the VI Waste Management to now utilize this control technology like the air curtain incinerators, I believe we are moving in the right direction from unsafe open pit burning toward safer and more controlled disposal methods. At the same time that I support this bill, it also still preserves, I see, the environmental safeguards and the appropriate permitting process through the Virgin Islands Fire Service. But at the same time, I still have a true concern about another growing challenge in the territory, and that's the increasing number of abandoned and derelict vehicles that we're seeing across the islands. So as we discuss this matter today, I have some questions with regards to the environmental and air quality oversight, but I wanted to ask the Waste Management Authority first whether or not they have an idea of the number of abandoned and derelict vehicles that are on each island. Are you all looking at this where you can have an idea as to the number of abandoned and derelict vehicles on the island? And if you haven't, just be honest and say you haven't, but this is something that we really need to look into.
Good morning, Sheena Isanasin, Chief of Solid Waste. I do not have that number at this time. Usually the administrative office, they're the ones that does the derelict vehicles, but
so
again...
you're talking about the administrator?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, so would they share this type of information with you?
They should be.
So they are the ones responsible for picking up the vehicles, but what is your existing capacity or plan for processing and removing these vehicles?
Right now we're working on coming up with an RFP for scrap metals, including derelict vehicles, to have them shipped off island. So we're in the process of working to clear all the metals that we have on the both islands at this time. As you know, in Bovoni and Anguilla, there's a huge amount of metals that we have.
So, and what are your current methods used to dispose and or recycle these types of vehicles? And how does the authority ensure hazardous components are
Time.
safely removed from these vehicles before disposal?
Before they come to the landfills, they should be emptied of all the liquids or the fluids that are in them. And if they bring them to the landfill, they're charged an extra $350 because the contractor on the landfill would have to then remove all those fluids and safely dispose of those fluids because they can cause fires on the landfill. And then we have the company that removes those metals off island.
Okay. Time has been called, but if I may ask one question, I'm not sure if you have a follow-up.
Go ahead, Senator.
So, following hurricanes or major storms, green waste volumes seem to increase across the territory significantly. So, how would this bill in itself improve the authority's ability to quickly process storm debris compared to the current restrictions under Act 8018?
When a storm comes, we set up the designated area where the residents and the companies are able to bring the debris to certain areas on the island.
Yeah, but,
and then,
but tell me how this bill will improve your ability to quickly do this.
because then we'll be able to burn the green waste right away instead of having to store it and wait for it to be disposed of off island.
Excellent. Because I support the measure, but we need to get that out there so that the community listening and following this proceeding could understand what these incinerators are. And you are already procuring some incinerators for all three islands? At least both
we haven't
districts?
procured it as yet because that's why we're here today, but we are looking into it as soon as we get the okay.
So you have access to any at this time, or what's your plans to procure these, what you call them, air curtain incinerators or similar control technologies? What would the anticipated cost be and the operational timeline to get them started?
Darrell Griffith, CFO, Waste Management Authority. We have a grant through EPA that's managed by DPNR that we've actually submitted the RFPs to for the purchase of the air curtain incinerators.
And the amount of, and how many?
In the amount of about 750,000 per machine. Total, and they've been submitted.
No, slow down for me.
I'm sorry.
Per machine, and then you said total. So which is it?
Per machine.
What's the total EPA grant?
The total EPA grant is $6 million.
$6 million. Okay, that's what I want to hear.
And 750,000 per machine. And we've submitted the RFPs to them for their review. And then as soon as it's passed that we can actually purchase the machine, because we will not purchase it unless we know we can actually use it in the territory.
Well, with my vote, you'll be able to use it. But how many?
One for each, for St. Croix and one for St. Thomas.
So we're looking at 3.
2.
I mean, yes, you said one for St. Croix and one for St. Thomas.
Yes, sir.
So, so there's no way to have one for St. John on its own?
St. John is just a transfer station right now, so we're going to do it just at the landfills for right now.
So with a total, and I'll wrap up right here, Mr. Chair, although I have more. But so you're talking about a $6 million grant, and only 2 machines you're looking at $750 each. Are we looking at getting an extra one just in case something goes down, or are you looking at procuring other similar control technologies?
We're looking at procuring other equipment too as well. We're also purchasing mulchers, and we're purchasing shredders, and we're purchasing 2 vehicles for our enforcement officers, and we're also wrapping up with the University of...
More vehicle again, boy.
Yes, definitely. And with the University of the Virgin Islands, we're also doing, what's the full title?
It's the Sustainable Material Management Integrated Plan.
So this goes hand in hand with a bill that's going to be coming up shortly, I think April 8th or 9th. And I think the Waste Management Authority will be one of the testifiers, and that's to deal with the overgrown vegetation across the territory. So I'm glad to hear you talking about purchasing mulchers, etc. But let me just caution you before I put this mic down too about the number of vehicles that we continue to bring in here in this government, okay? We're already having a problem with fuel, and we're going to just be buying government vehicle on top of government vehicle, and we're always going for the top of the line. So let me just caution you with that, and I know you have a good man at the helm who was Inspector General. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Gittins. And one of the things I say, just put on the record here that we had a good program going with the abandoned vehicle, but currently the operators of the landfill are owed some substantive amount of dollars for detaxing the vehicles and and different things. So when we clear up that bill, I guess the administrators could proceed with removing the derelict vehicle. But still, I'm glad that the senator bring it up because we got to put the word out there for these people that, stop leaving your vehicles all over the place. Everybody blames the government for abandoned vehicle, but we don't blame the owner. Like, the government, it's not a government car. And I'm going to say, it's not a government car. Let's blame these people who we have continuously cleaned up areas and cars continue coming. I ain't pointing no fingers, but cars continue coming. You come back in the morning, then 4 blocks, not engine, not doors gone. Everybody in Waste Management know what I'm speaking about. But we continue every day to blame the government for all these abandoned and derelict vehicles out there. Yes, the government have a little responsibility, a stake in the game. But let's start with the root cause. That's why I tell people, stop selling car in the night. Make sure the car is completely out your name. Go to DMV because the lien goes to the last registered owner. When I was administrator, I had numerous people come crying, oh, you can't. I'm sorry, that's the law. The law is $1,000. The fine is $1,000. But hey, some you catch, some you don't catch, But it is there. Senator Carla Joseph, you're recognized for your 4 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. A pleasant good day to everyone. I really want to commend the bill's sponsor for bringing forward this measure. I know the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority has been making some overtures to this body to rethink and relook at burning of our vegetation. I do understand I wasn't here in the 32nd legislature when this bill was passed, Act 8018, but I do understand some of the area that the why that we need to put it back in place. My concern is, of course, is going to look at 2 distinctive areas of looking at putting this back in place, and I believe Dr. Gregory, kindly indicate help me pronounce your last name, please.
Gwenel.
Gwenel? Very good. I think I remember meeting you at a meeting, Dr. Gwenel, in Bovoni at Trinity Methodist Church, and you were there with the residents of Bovoni. I was there as well, talking about the impacts of our infrastructure and the work that you do at the University of the Virgin Islands, to really get a sense of how our environment, and you mentioned the landfill, affect us. I also believe Mr. Bromont from the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority was there. So I want to commend you for the good work you're doing, getting a lot of that raw data that we need. And of course, everyone knows Bovoni is where I grew up. So I'm very familiar with that area and some of the effects. Now, you mentioned something, Dr. Gwinnell, in your testimony about the air particles and how burning does, in fact, have an adverse effect on human beings. I always have to look at the human beings because I am one. So tell us if you, based on the information, your research, if these particles, if managed correctly, will be reduced.
So the burning will reduce the amount of particle, or the burning technology, the ACI, the incinerators, will reduce the amount of particles in the air compared to open burning. The worst you can do is open burning. That being said, there are still particles in the air, and there are hence the need for permits that Director Jeshen talked about, that the EPA now is waiving for emergency, during emergency time, but there are still particles in the air. And so the main concern is when you have very low winds or very fast wind that can make things burn faster than normal, but very low winds. When you have those low winds then the smoke doesn't move, and so you have more and more concentration of those particles in the air. And so that's why a lot of communities, from my reading of how those technologies are used in the States and elsewhere, that's why a lot of communities are concerned, is they are afraid of this concentration during low wind days that can then impact your health.
Low wind days. You mentioned in your testimony, and I'm glad you brought up the wind.
1 minute.
That the Caribbean trade winds weakened during August to October, which are also the hottest months of the year. And I know the Virgin Islands, Thames, has recommended a certain window, a daylight, to burn for residents. What would be your recommendation given what you state? Because we want to assure that we minimize as much as possible the possibility of adverse effects on the human beings, because we're going to do burning as well. The Virgin Islands Fire Emergency are going to do burning as well. So should we look at a time of the year when we're factoring in the wind?
So I think that we need to, and I think that's something that the bill doesn't clarify, whether or not the burning needs to happen on a regular basis or can happen on a regular basis versus as an emergency basis. Most of the time when this technology is used is when you have to do something because you are overwhelmed. It is not, from my understanding, a regular sort of operation that you use, let's say, every Tuesday of every week. And so I think that it's important to clarify whether or not you are thinking about allowing burning as a regular type of operation versus emergency operation. If it's regular type operations, then we need to be very careful about controlling those negative impacts on air quality.
Time.
Especially during those months where it's just dead, nothing moves, and I think you know what I'm talking about, where then you can have a lot of adverse impact because not only the air is not moving, the concentration of particle can increase, but you have all the vehicle that add more, which creates really adverse condition for the community that lives near the burning. So the other thing I would say is that during emergency period, if you have to burn after a hurricane or something like that, or after a storm, maybe identify a site away from people where you can do some of this instead of at the landfill. Even at the landfill, every time I go to the landfill, I mean, it's a crowded space.
Yes.
So it can even create a lot of issues. But if we can identify a site where that can be done away from people with enough, the safety and the space, maybe that can happen. But again, need to be very careful about using it as an emergency sort of protocol, not on a regular basis, because you will still have concentration of particle if there's no wind. And if you leave, if there are community downwind, they will still be impacted some way or another. So we need to be very careful.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, may I know my time was called? May I wrap up with one final question? Thank you so kindly. You're very gracious. I really want to stress that because I know of an incident when they had burning, and this is not burning that was planned. This is when the dump caught on fire. And a lot of adverse effects happened to our residents in Bovoni, and it traveled all the way to Nada and to Frenchman's Bay and Bolongo, all of those. Who feels it knows it. And a lot of the people there. So I would like to see if we could work on what time frame that we could do the burning. I love that the Virgin Islands Fire Emergency Service, Fire Emergency Medical Service, have indicated a time that they would prefer to see burning done. I think that's something that we could also look at as legislators to make sure that we are protecting our people, because we don't want them to have to suffer, you know, because where they live. And the people in Bovoni area, I know, and Nada, and those areas are in a very close proximity to the landfill. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the time. I appreciate it deeply.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. The one thing I'll add is that I know from past history there was tours on both landfill. And Director Joshua, if I pick your memory, or even Assistant Director Stephen. Lord. Stevenson.
My son.
Sorry, Clarence. I'm really sorry about that moment there. And I see the landfill operator in the back, Mr. Ashby, that this equipment would not be placed in the front of the landfill. It was a site picked on the southern side of the landfill, but facing more of the west of the landfill. If I'm incorrect, Director or Fire, help me out here.
As far as I know, in St. Croix was supposed to maybe the body slab area.
St. Thomas particularly, sorry about that.
In St. Thomas, we was gonna put it on the landfill, but we don't have a specific area at this time, because I know that the bottom gets really hot.
Yeah.
So
But
we're trying
I'll,
to figure out that part, if we're going to actually put it on the landfill or somewhere close to it.
All right. At some point in time, I'll ask the landfill operator, Mr. Ashby, to come in, because we did have a site placement at the time, and it was situated at the rear of the landfill. Director Dachin?
Yes, Senator. Director Josh and from Vitima, yes, when we did our orientation on that site, we said the entrance where it currently was located was not the best place to put it. We wanted to move it towards the back side, more towards the ocean side, and like you said, more oriented away from the overall landfill side of the house. That was what the direction was going to go, but of course it was going to be a cost to move that. So I think based upon the situation, if we do get an air curtain burner, that location would be pretty much susceptible to a concern if it was down at the entrance.
Thank you. Director Stevens.
Yes, Senator.
In St. Croix, you have a lot of, I don't want to say bush burning, but a lot of more like forestry burning happens in St. Croix.
Yes, Senator.
Tell me what happens. What happens? Fire department comes, what happens?
The fire department comes when they have brush fires.
Brush fires.
Right? We extinguish the fire. But most of those fires are caused by farmers who are trying to control their brush, and sometimes it gets out of control, usually due to high winds. So the atmospheric conditions do play a role in when we authorize burning. Throughout the year, everybody's aware that the fire service does ban burning, open burning, and even with this technology, we will do so as well, depending on the atmospheric conditions, the wind. However, we do have a dry season, a specific dry season, and we take that into consideration as well. What I think, what I'm listening to, is there might be some confusion as to when we talk about 50 feet away from a structure. That is what we talk about people who living in neighborhoods and those who are authorized when they come into the office and they pay for a burn permit. The inspector comes out and does an inspection of your burn site, the debris that you're going to burn. And this is just for those in houses or offices. Let's say you have a whole bunch of files that you want to get rid of. As long as you are able to put that in a 50-gallon drum, somewhat similar to an aisle drum, and the inspector comes out, deems it safe, make sure you have the appropriate extinguishing equipment just in case it does get out of control, then you're able to burn. But I want to make sure that we get that clear, and it has nothing to do that our burn permitting process has nothing to do with the air curtain process. Outside of when we decide that it's the environmental conditions are not conducive to burning, we'll ban burning throughout the territory, or specifically by island, depending on what's going on atmospherically.
Thank you. If Lewis comes in and get a permit for burning, the neighbors call said that if Lewis is burning, what happens then?
If the neighbor calls and says, Avery Lewis is burning and it's bothering me, then Avery Lewis would have to put it out. We issue burn permits for a 30-day process. Usually the hours that you can burn is really we say when everybody else are at work. Between the hours of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., never on holidays and never on the weekends.
So who does that enforcement?
The fire service, that our enforcement team comes out, does the inspection, making sure that that your area is good to go. You're not encroaching on your neighbor's property, and the fire service as well. The responders will come out as well and make sure that you're good to go. If you have any questions or if you have a concern, something is going on, you call the nearest fire station to that property for assistance.
Thank you. Senator Carla Joseph, recognized for your point of information.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I want to pose this question to Mr. Griffith, CFO for the Virgin Islands Waste Management Authority. Now, you now accumulate green waste. You have to ship those green wastes off island, or you just allow it to disintegrate naturally?
They sit and disintegrate naturally. That's why we're also purchasing the mulchers for them too as well.
Okay. Okay, now I completely understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Senator Ray Fonseca, you're recognized for your 4 minutes. And before I begin, I'd like to just say happy birthday to you, Senator Fonseca, as well.
Well, Sir Popa, thank you, Mr. Chair, and a pleasant good morning to all of the testifiers. Mr. Chair, I want to follow up on the line of questioning from my good colleague, the Madam Chair of the Rules Committee, regarding the health risk to nearby communities. The respiratory issues, lung issues, increased risk of heart disease, like Mr. Guanel, Guannel mentioned, even the sargassum can have arsenic in it. And the air curtain incinerators are machines that used to burn large amounts of, green waste, sometimes wood, etc., etc. But while they may burn more efficiently, they still release chemicals, harmful chemicals into the area. And right now, this is in a community, and there is environmental concerns with the smoke, the airborne particulates. So I wanted to ask a couple questions. There's a meeting this afternoon at 5:30 scheduled with the Bovoni residents, waste management.
Yes, sir.
Yes, there's a meeting scheduled. So you see, I think we're kind of like leading the cart before the horse, because I'm getting comments from, and they told me to call the names, the president of the Bavoni community, Ms. Blyden, Lynette George, some other names. I'm not going to call all of them. They told me to mention a name. They would like to have an ability to give comments and provide input, because when you presented with them before, you did not give them the sufficient details that you have now presented to this legislature. You see, we in the legislature, the last time Bavoni came before here, we had to approve them solar panels because we were going to lose money. But now you're giving testimony that you haven't even purchased the equipment. You don't even know exactly where it's going to go, if it's going to go in the front or going back. But you're still coming to the legislature to get approval. The residents of Bavoni needs to consider and review and give comments. We have a school there. Remember when we had this fire 2 years ago in 2024, the school had to be closed for 1 day because of the smoke. There's a daycare there. This is not only Bavoni, this affects NADA, like my colleague, the Madam Rules Chair, said. It affects Frenchman Bay. We're building a head start. There's kids in the area, children in the area. People live there. Also, there's a noise pollution. This thing here is operated by an engine. I don't know if it's going to be an engine. There's a fan. There's noise. People want to be able to rest out there. This is not properly before the legislature. We need to have DPNR. I have some questions for DPNR regarding the permit, because, there could be improper material being burned. The treated wood cannot be burned, because that is not, that release, the plastics cannot be burned, okay? That could release the mercury, the dioxins, the lead. We got testimony that the sargassum can release arsenic. These are toxic chemicals we are going to burn and potentially release in the atmosphere of our community. That's why there's many communities in states have real strict, Mr. Chair, if I can just be allowed to finish, because I'm definitely going to vote no on this, because the residents of the communities need to be allowed to get input. We cannot treat our residents like that. The last time we came with the solar panels, we had to rush it, we had to approve it because we're going to lose money. They ain't even buy the equipment, they ain't even know where it's going to be located. This is not how we should operate. Mr. Chairman, we have to give the residents of Bavoni an ability to come and listen and give comments. You cannot tell me you have a meeting with the residents this afternoon at 5:30. Why you going to say, the legislature don't approve it, so this is what we're going to do. You ain't got no input. That is not the way we conduct business in this community. This is not properly before me, and I cannot support this. Thank you and for the time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Director Stevens, you wanted to say something?
Good afternoon, Senator. If I may, a couple of things I need to make clear. One, no sargassum will be being burnt in the air curtain. None. It is not designed for that. The sargassum will deteriorate what that system is designed to do. Two, time and time again, we've mentioned the fires that occurred 2 years ago, which was very hazardous to the community at large. Not just to the community, but to my employees who had to be out there for those days, but for 17 to 21 straight days battling those fires. Just over the weekend, we had a fire again at the landfill in St. Croix for 3 days. My employees were out there battling those fires. If we have a controlled environment with significant reduction, we talked about the percentage of reduction when you do a free burn as opposed to a burn using the air incinerator. It is safer for the community. That system will be being used and no one will know it's being used because there will be no harmful, the harmful effects will be significantly reduced to include smoke that you will not be able to pick up. I am looking out for not just the community, but for my employees. Everybody understand being in a landfill or in those type of fires is cancerous. That's why I force my employees to always use their PPE. Those people downwind do not have PPE, and we cannot relocate them. It's important that we use the air curtain to support the community and to get the existing, I want everybody to understand, the existing vegetative debris that we have on these landfills that they can't take on no more. We need to get rid of it, and we can't ship it no place.
700,000.
No, man, not that much.
Complete?
Thank you, sir.
Point of information, Senator Carla Joseph.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for recognizing me because, like I said, who feels it knows it. And I lived in Bovoni community for over 26 years. That's a very long time. And I knew and I felt it when the fires broke out. Now, Director Stevens, you indicated that no sargassum will be burnt in these incinerators. What prevents that? What prevents someone, anyone, from throwing the sargassum in these incinerators? What?
Thank you, Senator, for the question. The air curtain units will be managed by A9 and by Waste Management. Hear me out.
Good afternoon, morning. Sheena Isanasin, Chief of Solid Waste. When we get the incinerator, the team on the landfill, we will begin to sort and go through the green waste before we throw anything into the incinerator. As Mr. Griffith stated earlier in the testimony, we know what can be burned and what cannot. Plastics will be separated. Everything will be separated into piles, and we will be there to manage the burning of the incinerator as it should be.
Okay, I don't already have any issues, right?
I'm sorry?
I am already having some challenges with that because I know our government. I know the human beings. And I know we would say the best things here, but when it comes to reality and what happens is two distinct difference. It's two distinct difference. There's nothing wrong with this bill, I'm going to tell you. What is the issue here is us as the human beings to implement with a level of fidelity and diligence. That's the issue. Okay? That's the issue. To know, the chairman talked about the love, to know that we have that major issue to be sure that we are protecting and doing everything in our power to really align. If we need to make safeguards in this bill to assure that happen, it needs to happen now than after, to assure that the human beings on your end do what they say they're going to do. And if they do not do what they say they're going to do, we have to penalize them. This is because I'm not playing with no human being life here. Not today. Not coming from where I know in Bovoni. Okay, so I have that concern, deep concern, and that's why I am very reluctant on this measure, Mr. Chairman and colleagues. Thank you kindly, Mr. Chairman, for the leeway. I appreciate it deeply.
Thank you. CFO Griffin, when and if this machine is purchased, and set up station, would it be run by Waste Management or a contractor or a combination?
It's always a combination because at the end of the day, it's Waste Management who is over the landfills, and we hire contractors to administer the rules and laws that we tell them. Mr. Bruni, you wanted to state something?
Good day, Alex Bruni, Chief Engineer. Currently, the Waste Management Authority has already begun separating green waste from sargassum. The sargassum is stored in one location in the landfill. The green waste is stored in another location. So mixing the two would not occur. When the sargassum come in, when it's sargassum season, we have certified haulers that come in and they place the sargassum, like I said, in a designated area. There are certain items that we know for sure that cannot be burnt in the burner, and it will not be. More importantly, we visited the site back in September, October. Standing right next to this burner, while it was engaged in the process, there was very little emissions coming from this unit, to the point where I stood right by the box and did not smell anything, did not inhale anything. It did not bother me whatsoever. So as far as it being able to move past the Bovoni area or the landfill area and have any kind of effects on the residents of Bovoni, I don't see that happening at this point at all.
Thank you.
Yes, your information. I will ask for a point of information.
Senator Clifford Joseph, you're recognized for your point of information.
Yeah, since we're speaking about pollution, I mean, again, this bill is for us to be able to get the machines here. As far as where they're going to be placed, that's a question that we're asking right now, but on a strong point. And let's be real, one of the most highest concentric pollution to most of us here in the Virgin Islands, and I'm sure individuals own large trucks in these same areas. And that's, I'm going to ask Dr. Gwinnell what he thinks about that. The pollution, forget about this incendiary for a minute, where you have large diesel trucks within the communities that we do live. And there is no separation. I think as far as a cancer agent, that's one of the highest cancerogen agents you can be around. Just starting up these large vehicles, and I'm sure they have them in the area. But staying to the subject, this bill is to allow us to be able to get rid of some of our green waste that we're piling up. In St. Thomas right now, you guys are not accepting the green waste. So where is the green waste? All over the island? I don't know. We're not accepting it at the landfill. So where is the green waste going presently? That's my question.
So, can I answer? Good afternoon. Thank you for the question about the emissions from the car. I think you have a very good point, Senator. That's something that is very worrisome. I have a meeting tomorrow with the EPA to see if we can start a program that measures particulate matter throughout the islands. And I think these emissions for cars is one thing that we're looking at, trying to better understand. Last year, during the peak of summer, we had a very high concentration of ozone in Smith Bay, and we believe it may be linked to the car emissions. So again, that's something that we're looking at the university. That's something that we also discussed in the past related to the lack of car inspections. Many places have car inspection that include emission controls. That's something that we don't have in a territory. We believe that because we have trade winds, everything dissipates. But like I said, there are many months with very little winds. So your point is well taken. And I think that control of emissions for cars, especially big trucks that you see in town with the black smoke, that's something that from a health concern need to be looked at. But we at the university in the meantime, just starting to collect the data, and hopefully we will continue this summer and present the data to you all so you have a better understanding of the issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Nobel Francis Jr., you're recognized for your 4 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for your testimony thus far. And I really want to say that today, we're having a discussion in respect to our green waste. However, we have a broader discussion that needs to be had, and we continue to kick the can down the road, and it's really talking about recycling. My colleague spoke about the abandoned and derelict vehicles. We got tires in the hundreds of thousands in our community that needs to be addressed. We have our landfills. Just flying over this morning, I saw a large volume of this green waste at the Anguilla landfill. I was over at the horse racetrack this last weekend, and individuals talk about when they were able to see one side from the car track to the horse track. Now we have a whole mountain in between, and we can't see either way. Anguilla, I remember when we basically had a molehill. Now we have a mountain there. We enjoy and love managing by crisis. We have to wait for things to explode in order for us to act. Can I get a status of the current Anguilla fire?
Good afternoon. Shine Sanderson, Chief of Solid Waste. As of right now, the fire on Anguilla has been extinguished, so it's no longer on fire.
Very well, thank you.
Can I say something about the recycling and waste diversion? We have
You
had.
promise to be brief? I only got 4 minutes.
Yes,
Go
brief.
ahead.
We've had several meetings, the executive director, Ware, and I, over the past 2 weeks with several waste to energy proposals that we have been discussing. So we are working towards that.
So I brought that up because we continue to wait, and we have a risk. Right now, we have a risk because we have the Anguilla landfill or the landfills, as well as these green waste in our community. If those things catch on fire, everything stops. Endanger the safety of our firemen, endanger the ability to fly out of St. Croix in some instances. On Friday, individuals had to wear a mask at the airport, again because of that fire at the landfill. So what are we waiting for? How long do we wait? A decision will have to be made at some point. We enjoy managing by crisis, and every time we delay, every time we kick the can down the road, all we're doing is creating havoc in our community because it gets worse and worse and worse. So I'm hoping that today that we could really set aside, and we know that there is a risk associated with the air curtain incinerators.
1 minute.
But what's worse? Which one of the evils do we intend to undertake? And I'm hoping that my colleagues will really just take a good look at that, because what we're doing on behalf of all people is to hopefully ensure that we're protecting them in the long run.
Thank you.
So in talking about the current green waste that we have in our landfills, who is responsible now to separate that green waste?
At this time, on the island of St. Thomas, we have A9, and they're managing the green waste section. On St. Croix, it will be the Waste Management Authority.
And we're satisfied that this, again, this managing of the green waste and the separation of the green waste will ensure that we are doing the right thing in separating them out. When we talk about the sargassum, when we talk about the other contaminants that may be in the current green waste.
Yes, as Mr. Bruni stated earlier, the
Time.
sargassum is in one area, far away from the green waste that we collect daily.
Mr. Chair, my time at call. Can I just wrap up with a couple more points? Thank you. In respect to the... So what is the current green waste? What is the amount of current green waste that we have at the landfill at this time?
At both landfill, I would say about 700,000 cubic yards, a little bit more. That's just an estimation at this time. Again, on St. Thomas, we don't collect the green waste. We don't have the space for it, so that's just an estimated amount.
So where's the green waste on St. Thomas right now?
On St. Thomas, people probably holding it in their yard, they're burning it, they're throwing it on the side of the road. But we are currently trying to work with a private entity that would allow for the residents to begin to bring green waste at their area.
What is the risk of that happening?
The risk of what?
Of the individuals holding it at the yard, dumping it in areas?
It can cause fire, just like it could cause fire in the landfill. It could be a risk of causing fires, termites for the residents.
So there was a suggestion in incorporating the grinding, composting, and mulching. How serious are we about ensuring that occurs?
Next month, we are going to look at some demonstration for a shredder. It shreds green waste. It also shreds bulk waste and white goods. So that would be one way that we can also shred some of the green waste to assist us.
Okay. And my final question on this particular round, I wanted to ask you, CFO, in respect to your testimony, you talk about the startup of the incinerator could allow for a 35% impact. Oh, what is the impact of that 35%? You say it could go from 0 to 35%. What is the impact to the community with that 35% impact, in terms of the first half an hour?
So in terms of the first half an hour, that 35% is the amount of smoke that can accumulate. So we actually did a video because I think our ED1 said a picture's worth 1,000 words, but a video, I guess, is worth 10,000 words. So we have a video to actually show you the actual startup impact so you can see it with your own eyes.
Very well, and that's what concluding with this morning, that I think that a video would definitely be able to get the public to understand what we're talking about and what we look into as the proposed incinerator.
And we actually have 3 videos.
So, Mr. Chair, at some point I think the videos would be a good time for us.
Let me know when they're ready. So while media is queuing up those videos, I'll go to the next senator, and right after her, then we'll show the video, which is Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. You're recognized for your informant.
Thank you so much.
Senator Francis Heiliger, hold 1 second. Senator Joseph, you're recognized for your point of information.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. I want to ask you, Ms. Isanison, kindly indicate for us what mechanisms or controls do you have in place now, and checks and balances to assure that your regular green waste, your lumber and the ones that fall off the tree, is not mixed with the sargassums that you collect or any vendor collects and places at the landfills?
When the sargassum comes in, it's placed up on the top of the hill, and there's someone there directing where they should be dropping the sargassum.
Okay, so does the EPA or any other authority come to do any checks?
Random spot checks.
Is
They
conducted
do, not daily.
Conducted by
EPA.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Senator Francis Heiliger, please proceed. Thank you for your patience.
Good afternoon to my colleagues. Good afternoon to the people of the territory. Good afternoon to testifiers, staff. I've been listening attentively for the past a very long time as it relates to what's happening in regards to this piece of legislation. And my first question is, I was kind of, why isn't DPNR here? Because, they focus a lot on our environmental protection, and I would have thought that they might have also been here to speak a little bit more on the environmental side of this. Was that an oversight, or they couldn't come? If somebody could share that with me, I would appreciate it. Does anyone know?
There was invited senator, but nobody could have made it at this time.
Okay, they couldn't make. Okay, thank you. Because the reason why I say that is because a lot of this conversation focuses around health and environment of the people that are going to be directly impacted, specifically out in the Bavoni-Nada area. And for me, my job is always going to be looking out for that aspect as well. I heard some of my colleagues speak a little bit earlier about, things building up into a mountain, and, we have to act. But what I also am mindful of is it's our own neglect and our own inaction that allowed this to grow into this huge mountain. So the question is, do we just rush to do something because it's now a mountain? Or do we make sure that we still do our due diligence to try to protect those that might be affected the most? I also want to ask another question. Were there any town hall meetings in regards to this? Because potentially putting in an incinerator and the smoke and the wind and all of these other things, because while there are a lot of months, there's not a lot of wind. There's quite a bit of months that there are. So it's always going to be a situation of say one, say two. And as a representative, I have to look at the entire gamut of the situation. So were there any town halls in regards to this particular implementation? Does anyone know? Does a sponsor know? Just for my edification and knowledge. Is he there?
Who's the question pointed to, Senator?
Well, I was asking specifically if the sponsor or anyone had town halls in regards to this in the neighborhood that is going to be affected.
Senator.
I didn't have any town halls.
No,
okay.
hold on. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Senator Francis Heiliger.
Okay, so the sponsor is sharing that he didn't have any. Okay, thank you for sharing that. You know, I fully understand we live in a society that we have to have some balance. And in our need to have some balance, I understand the need for what is being discussed today, but I also have to have balance for the people as well. And I am not inclined at this moment to vote in favor of this legislation because for me, I need a little bit more conversation in regards to the environmental aspect of it. And unfortunately, based on what the chairman did share, DPNR, who is in charge of environmental protection, was invited and they're not here. So I really don't know what their stance is, what their thought process is in regards to this. And the fact that the people that would be directly impacted by this didn't have any discussion on it. And at the end of the day, we are their representatives. And we can't keep, could I just finish my statement?
Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you very much, sir. We can't keep putting our people in situations where they're often blindsided by things, and then yet we head to the polls and say, hey, let me represent you. I don't consider that true representation if we're not even giving them the respect of having an opportunity to either fully understand, know, or have a discussion on things like these. So I will continue to listen, but as a voting member at this moment, unless I get further information, I'm not inclined to support this piece of legislation today. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. With management, whether Mr. Bruni or Mr. Griffith, I know some of the videos are mute, so I'd like for you to just narrate it through so people can understand what's going on. Media, could I have the videos, please?
Mr. Bruni will. I don't think this one's.
So,
fossil fuels and emits a significant volume of greenhouse gases. Grinding is not an end solution. It's expensive both economically and environmentally. Piles of grindings are dangerous. They outgas methane and can easily spontaneously combust. So what are our options? Air burners. For 26 years, our air curtain burners have been the world's most proven portable solution to burn cleanly and naturally. No fossil fuels needed. Don't get caught in the grind. Let air burners show you how Mother Nature has been doing it since the beginning of time. Only cleaner.
So, if I may, this is on our visited back in September, October of 2025. During this process, like I said, when we got there, the machine was already ignited. The good thing about this machine is that it operates on its own fuel. Once you light the machine early in the morning and you continue to add more debris to it or more green waste to it, it continues to burn. Now, when we mention the air curtain is basically a curtain of air, just like similar to when you go into cars. So there's one of those stores that keeps the cool air and hot air out from the store. The air curtain operates in the same way. It keeps the emission contained within the box as best as possible. In addition to that, I was able to, like I said, walk right outside the box safely, very little heat exposed to it. And one of the best things about this is the byproduct of this whole entire system. I myself like to garden and farm. During the summer times, I spend a lot of time just trying to water the plants and keep the plants alive. With this system, the byproduct of this unit could be used for farming because it keeps the ground around the plants moist, making it easier for the farmers then to produce some produce. If you look at the video carefully, you could barely see any emissions, any fumes coming from this unit. When Senator Francisca spoke about it having a motor, the motor is just to simply run the air curtain, and it is a very small unit that's on it, smaller than a machine for a truck or a bulldozer, if I may. Very small unit that it meets all the EPA requirements as well. Where we speak about again the fumes from it, very, very, very little. In my opinion, it smelled like a barbecue grill, quite honestly. And there you see myself and Ms. Sanderson looking into the unit that is burned, and for us to be so close to it, and it has little to no effect on us. Just imagine if we set that unit at the landfill, how much effect it would have on the residents of the Bavoning area. Keep in mind that the whole purpose of trying to get this unit is to look out for the residents of the Bavoning area and the community, trying to avoid the fires that we experienced a few years ago. Those fires are not contained, it's uncontrolled, and when those fires are ignited, the amount of emissions, the amount of toxins that is emitted from the landfill is far more than what you will receive from this unit. What you're looking at right now is there's another component that you can add to the unit, which basically generates electricity. So if we want to, we could add that component to it and be able to run our electrical equipment if we do decide to buy them from this unit as well.
Good day, Virgin Islanders. I'm up here in Palm City, Florida, figuring out solutions to our vegetative waste. Now, if you look behind me, what we have here is the air curtain. They're the manufacturer, and they create a product that actually disposes of all green waste. And you can see green waste all around me. This is a problem we have in the landfill. When all this vegetative waste starts to pile up, we run the risk of fires like we had before in St. Thomas, and it's also disconcerting. Now, the unit behind me you see here is fully burning right now. I'm standing less than, 15, 20 feet from it. I cannot smell anything. If you look, there is no smoke escaping. Now, there's 5 metric tons of debris in that's burning right now. This particular unit is actually hooked up to a generator. They use a heat to generate power, which actually charges a battery station that they use around here to power the equipment. So they have all the electric equipment running on this particular site, using it to put the waste in the burner. So we're talking about getting 2 of these, one for St. Thomas, one for St. Croix, because we think that'll be able to take our capacity right now. But eliminating the storing and the amassing of large green waste, woods, logs, everything you cut from your yard can be put in here. Now, here's the good part. What comes out of here is pure char. That's like a charcoal material that can be used to enrich soil. So out of 10 tons of waste, you get about 100 pounds of ash. So we, as a win-win-win, even if we don't use it in our agricultural product, we could still go back and put it in a landfill. It's a lot smaller than putting in a sizable land waste like this in the landfill. So we're working hard to get this done. I'm up here with the waste management CFO, and some other people looking at this thing to establish that it's now safe to burn. There's no smell emitting from this. Like I said, you can't smell a thing. There's no smoke, any particles coming out. And how this works is everything goes into this chamber, and then there's a 60-mile-an-hour wind over the top. That's called the wind curtain, or the air curtain as they're referred to. And that seals in all of the waste, all of the smoke. And that continues to burn until it's nothing but ash. So we're looking to get a couple of these and bring more and better ways and solutions for fighting our waste and managing our waste in the territory. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Anderson, when you were climbing up and they were on?
Yes, it was on, and you don't feel that heat like everybody thinks it is. We was there, actually climb up to the top, and were able to look inside.
God, I take your word for it. Thank you. Senator Joseph, Clifford Joseph.
Well, again, good afternoon to everyone. I want to make it clear that this bill is about bringing our technology forward. Because the key thing is we don't have any other technology here. I think Director Stephen alluded to what's real. We stay questioning what's going on both dumps. And then when we got fire, you guys saw clearly on the video, not a third of the smoke that you will see off of any fire that's set in the landfill or any one of the landfills, either here on St. Thomas or St. Croix, could burn. One more key point I wanted to get clear to is they also have a smaller unit. So I heard my colleague earlier mention about a third unit. They have a small unit that could be used in rural areas as well, because we do have, although we're small, we still have rural areas in our small little island here. That could be like one of those bins that you haul on and haul off. It's the same size of a 20-yard container that you would pull on the truck for the regular dump session. They also have a small unit like that. Again, within the same, with having this mechanism in place to have on island, if we're going to dictate where it's going to go, then that's a different question. But I know for sure we just introducing the technology. It's something that's needed. We have to try and get rid of some and be prepared that if we do hit with a storm, what are we going to do with all our green waste? Because it's clear that FEMA is not moving it. So it's time to still think about what we're going to do going forward. So this bill was strictly, so maybe that's why I didn't even reach out for the town hall on a personal base, because I am worrying about getting the technology here to solve people here in the Borden Islands. So location, you saw it clearly. This thing could be rest at any location in Ireland. If you guys feel you don't want to burn it up this side, we want to burn it down that side, then you have to clear an area that it's going to go, that you could get the green waste there so we could get rid of.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Colleagues, we're going to go to a rapid round. One question. Senator Gittins.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to all again. I'm not going to ask any questions, but I'm just a little disappointed in some of the debates that I've been hearing earlier. You know, as we considered this piece of legislation, and excuse me, I'm a little winded, you know, but as we consider this piece of legislation here today regarding the disposal of green wastes in a modernized way of doing things, using modern technology, you know, I just want to remind my colleagues of our responsibility here in this legislature. because you could tell when there's a lack of preparation. We're not here to campaign and pontificate on measures or score political points. And I'm going to call it like it is, because I'm a little disturbed. I'm truly disturbed. As we're here discussing ways of bettering the quality of life for Virgin Islanders, this is what I had to sit here and endure today. I'm just asking that we prepare ourselves so that when we come, we could have live debates. Every one of us sitting here have our own opinion, and we are entitled to our own opinion. That's a fact. And healthy debate is part of this process. But my gosh, let's be prepared to discuss the matter at hand. What we have just saw, especially in the videos, explains it. If we want to really and truly address these fires at the landfills, you heard the finance chair talk about the employees and people at the airport, especially on St. Croix, using masks. You heard colleagues talking about the folks in the Bovoni area that have to suffer when this landfill ignites. Come on, here it is before us. We have a proposal that will address the problem that we're experiencing. So simply put, colleagues, I ask that we give this matter serious consideration and just take a look at the bill. If there's any concerns, work with the bill sponsor so that we can get it. We have the subject matter experts before us, and I'm the first to say that subject matter experts aren't always correct. But I do my research, and if my research corroborates with yours, then what? We have a solution before us. I say, let's work on it, all right? Our lack of preparation, just know, is a disservice to the people of the Virgin Islands. And thank you all for your testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm in a position to support this piece of legislation once it's called. Thank you.
Senator Carla Joseph, you're recognized for your burning question.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Like I mentioned, I didn't have an issue with the bill. I understand. My issue is with the fidelity of people doing their work, being able to separate that green waste from the sargassums, and who does the checks, who does that, and the like. Now, I wanted to, because I'm rereading Director Daryl Jashin's testimony. And I don't mean to get on in the weeds, but I got to get on into the weeds because it deals with the operation, and we are in the Committee on Government Operation. And we as a government sometimes are derelict in taking care of equipment and preparing for natural disasters. And this mechanism, this technology is deemed as a method to assist us after a storm with getting rid of our green waste, which is a natural thing to happen. Kindly indicate for me when or if this incinerator is purchased, how do you, and like I said, I don't mean to get on into the weeds, how are you going to assure and you're going to be able to make the necessary preparation that this incinerator doesn't fly away or harms anybody? Has it been ever tested in when you're looking at those areas to withstand a certain level of wind force and the like? I don't know if you've considered that. I want the technology here, but I don't want us to waste money and waste time and then go right back where we are right now. When a hurricane comes, we don't have an incinerator to actually get rid of the green waste, because guess what? It has blown away. We see that happening right there at the Bovoni landfill, where they had purchased over years this burning unit with government money and nothing don't happen to it. It's not operable. So that's my concern. My concern is that, and I don't know, pun intended, that we don't waste our people money, the taxpayers' money. That's my major concern. Mr. Bowman? Bruni? Sorry, Mr. Bruni, I'm so sorry. Mr. Bruni, I should know that. You want to comment on that?
Okay, Alex Bruni, Chief Engineer. This box or this air curtain is so heavy that if a storm was able to pick up this box, in reality, we are dead. Plain and simple. The box is made to withstand a certain temperature on a continual basis. So it's made out of steel and it's lined with a material that is very durable and is extremely heavy, that a storm just can't come and pick it up just like that.
You're saying that does not assure me. I'm going to tell you now. If I need to see it or see where it has it like that, because anybody could come and see that. And I know you, and it ain't a matter of trust for me. Okay, I have people that I am answerable to. Okay, and they're gonna tell me, Carla, how you didn't get this. But I'll research it. I will go on their site and see, and I'll even ask them whether or not, because those are assurances that we need if we're going to bring in this technology to us. I don't want us to waste the money or waste the time. Okay, because we want it to be here to actually do what you're proposing it to do, is to get rid of the mulch, get rid of the green waste after the storms. We want it to happen. So I really thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the time.
Thank you. Senator Fonseca, your burning question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, we've received testimony here that DPNR was invited. They did not attend. We've also received testimony that they have a meeting this afternoon with the residents of Bovoni, but the residents have not had a chance to give input to this concern. You see, the fact is that there's health risk to the nearby communities. People living or working near the incinerator may be exposed to smoke or airborne particles. There's toxic metals and chemicals that's released during burning. That's right. When you burn, toxic chemicals will be released. There must be strict permit restrictions. That's what I wanted to ask DPNR. What are the strict permit restrictions? There's schools in the areas. It's a dense population. The Bovoni housing community is one of the most densely populated areas on St. Thomas. There's health risks to the nearby community. Pollutants travel in the air, and they travel long distances. The fine particulate matter, the PM 2.5, can enter deep into the lungs, cause respiratory problems, asthma, bronchitis. There's even testimony today that these things can cause increased mortality risk. I'm saying I'm a representative of the people. I am thoroughly prepared. However, I want the residents to have a chance to input. I represent the residents of the whole community. These airborne contaminants can travel. I don't even know if I can rely on your testimony that sargassum wouldn't be thrown into it, even though you tell me so. The government of the Virgin Islands have a way of not being responsible once these permits are issued, once this is approved by the legislature. Why can't it go through the regular process? The other senator, the female senator, independent senator, asked if there was any public hearings conducted on this matter. What is the big rush? We've got testimony that the material is not purchased. We don't even know where it's going to be located. Improper material can enter into this burner. Treated wood A lot of our debris that we have contain treated wood. That's right. We use treated wood to reduce the instances of termites, et cetera, Plastics can get in. You showed me a picture of a small charcoal loading matter into this thing. How do you know small plastics are not going to be in there? What are the insurances that all of these poisons, toxins are not going to enter and they get into our air? Yes, we want to address the issue of the Bovoni fires, but we need to do it the proper way. And the residents, Bovoni, Nada, Bolongo, these toxins get into the air. It's poison. I cannot support this matter unless the residents have had a chance to input or unless I have heard from the agency that regulates environmental protection. They are not here. There's been no public hearing on this matter. So this is not a matter of being not prepared. This is a matter of rushing something that could probably provide good to the community. But at this time, I don't see any possible way that I can vote for this because the residents have not been advised. I represent the residents. That is my job. I got to represent the residents. Their health and their safety, especially school-age children. There's a big school in that area right in the direct line of the wind. Any wind that blowing going straight to that school. And there's a daycare. We're building a head start there. This is a densely populated neighborhood. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the time.
Thank you, Senator Fonseca. You know, I listen closely, and I hear a lot of things being thrown around here today. But I know for a fact, both landfills burning every day. Burning every day. Whether EPA out there or not, the landfill operator is here. He could tell you both landfills burning every day. We have some bigger issues coming. I read somewhere in the Daily News on the consortium somewhere that this year coming, this year, we're going to have much more sargassum coming. What we're going to do as a body, we have to get together collectively to see what measures we're going to put in place, waste management, EPA, health, all of us. How we going to remove this sargassum, how we going to dispose of it. That's another thing. So, I mean, I understand the community should be involved. But as leaders, sometimes we have to lead. Exactly, from the front. And we got to take the bull by the hand and do certain things. When that sargassum getting the weed out in Red Hook, Eudorican School calling waste management every day, saying there's a sewage leak. But you know what it is? The sargassum weed trap in between the mangroves. Go to the hotels. They call in. Government house, they call in the legislature. What are we going to do about removal of sargassum weeds? Our tourism product is impacted. Right there in the same Benabe and all of those, what were they talking about in Red Hook, in Friedenhoy? The sargassum weed comes in. Everybody brings the sargassum to the landfill as well. So I hear you. But we have to make some tough decisions, some tough and popular decisions. What is health safety and doable for life? Senator Novel Francis, Jr., you're recognized for your burning question.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I agree with my colleague that perhaps we need some additional testimony, and there's no reason why this is a first step. There's no reason why that can be considered in the Rules and Judiciary Committee. In addition to DPNR, I will also implore that we bring the Department of Health as well in this full discussion. But this is just a first step. There's no rush here. This is part of the process, and certainly in the Rules and Judiciary Committee, we could be able to get some additional vetting. You know, we keep talking about the global warming and climate change and what we're up against this environment, and we need to be ready for what is about to come here. I wanted to ask Mr. Ashby, who kind of manages the...
Hold a second, Senator. Mr. Ashby, please, your full name and position on the record for me, please.
Good day. My name is Jameis Ashby. I'm a landfill contractor for St. Thomas and St. Croix.
You gotta get closer, louder in the mic. Sorry.
I'm the contractor for St. Thomas and St. Croix landfill.
Full name?
Jameis Ashby Sr.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Ashby, I wanted you to weigh in and give some perspective. Obviously, you're in the fight every single day, and one of the operators, I wanted to get your perspective on this proposal.
The proposal is a very good proposal. The machine is over 8 to 10 years old. Not old, but machine itself, but the technology has been out for over 10 years. And every year, the EPA has tested this machine over and over and over. EPA is not going to give site or permission to use a machine that's going to cause havoc to people in the community or any place in the world. EPA stands over certain categories and certain air emissions. These machines put out less emissions than your car you drive. So if we're talking about emissions and particles per million, then stop driving all cars on the island. Because the cars are putting out more emissions than the air curtain burner. So if we're worrying about that, then stop all the boats, stop all the cars, stop all the generators. Okay? That's what we at today. This machine needs to be here. I fight these fires repeatedly over and over and over. My guys are there every day, day in, day out. My life, my guys are at the forefront with the fire department. So my guys is the one fighting it every time it happens. This machine is very, very good. It doesn't have the emission what everybody thinks it has. It's way better than wasted energy. Because wasted energy has so much other parts to put into it to make it work. Now, on the sargassum side now, the sargassum comes from the ocean. There's not much stuff in the ocean besides seaweed and whatever we put in there. The seaweeds come up the land, the truckers bring it in, put it in the back of the landfill. The sargassum is smelling, which is called seaweed. The real name is sargassum, but we call it seaweed. But you don't reckon in school, when it starts to decompose, that's when it smells like it comes to gaseous stage. And it gets so decomposed that it turns negative pH level, and that could cause explosion. That's why it smells like a rotten sewage. But it's not sewage, it's the level of decomposition. So it has to move and go to an area that suffices to maintain it. It will never end up in the machine. If I'm the one to run the machine, I would do a 3-step process. Sort, then shred or grind. Because when you do shred and grind, you have a material now that can reduce to 80% or less. What you saw in the video. You take a piece of lumber, you shred it. So now you have minimal stuff that you could see. And if it's a big piece of item of steel or whatever, you could see because the machine is going to jam, you take the parts out. And if you get some piece of material that is bypass, it'll be 20% of the material from 100%. So that material would end up burning way faster within the air curtain burner, that it won't be an emission problem or parts per million problem. That's the key. So separating, shredding, and then burning will be the 3 steps that I will take to make sure that the mixture of other items won't be within the green waste to put into the machine. But the key thing is to shred it first, then put it in. Because we have all our material here in a virginal mix. We don't separate nothing here. We need to separate, but we don't. So the key factor is to separate, shred, and then place in the machine.
Thank you. Complete your thought. The mic of Senator Noble Francis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Ashby, for putting that perspective on record. I just wanted to conclude by asking the CFO, Waste Management, Griffith, whether or not the waste management, as well as working with UVI under the Caribbean Green Technology Center, prepared to perhaps develop some rules and regulation to ensure that regulatory responsibilities would be adhered to and that there will be some accountability moving this forward.
Yeah, we are definitely prepared to prepare rules and responsibilities and procedures, policies and procedures as well, sir.
Thank you. And just to add to what the previous senator was suggesting, as well, that I know there's some independent entities that would like to give way in on this conversation as well. So if need be, in the Committee of Rules and Judiciary, we could also further this conversation. However it goes today, we could always further this conversation. That's right. Senator Alma Francis Heiliger, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I sat here a little bit entertained by quite a bit of the comments that were being said, questioning Senator's leadership, questioning whether some of us were prepared or not. I could only speak for myself, and my leadership style has always been to put the people first. And I've never wavered from that, and I have no intentions to. When it comes to me, I have never been a follower. I can't say that for all of us that have been elected, but I don't follow anyone. I always make up my mind based on information, research, knowledge, education, and that's how I function. So any questions y'all have about my abilities or integrity, you could share them with the public, but it's really none of my business, because at the end of the day, I'm going to do the job I was elected to do. And I am not making a decision willy-nilly unless I have all the pertinent facts. And if we have a whole agency that speaks to the environment and they're not even here, and I have colleagues saying, well, it's no big deal, we could send it to Rules. I'm a member of Rules. Rules is a clearinghouse. We don't really have much debate in Rules over anything, let's be honest. Most of the time when stuff gets there, it's already vetted in the committees they've been assigned to. So if you have several, out of the 6 of us here today, half of us have concerns. But the best some of y'all gonna do is try to diminish those concerns into political pontification. You're going to diminish them into leadership style, but not a single soul who is on the opposite side is saying, hey, maybe these people are just genuinely concerned with the process and the people of this territory. So, y'all could perform however y'all want to. I'm not getting involved in that too much today. But at the end of the day, I am still standing that I am not supporting this legislation at this time. And I do support the concept, but until I get the additional information that I need to make a fully informed decision, and the people mostly affected by this piece of legislation gets to hear a little bit more about it, my answer will be no. So thank you so much for all of your thoughts today, and have a blessed day.
Senator Clifford Joseph, would you like to? You're the sponsor of the bill. You have your closeout.
Well, again, I was bringing the technology to the Virgin Islands, and clearly, Ashby is clear. I've worked on many fires with him, being on St. Croix. So if he's telling you his men, he used to do it himself. When I was in the field, he was out there with us. Tons and tons of trucks of dirt to move to out fires. But we're talking about kind of changing some of how we're going to operate, because if we start to add less green waste to some of to the landfill, chances of fires are less. Because when it goes on green, it sits and it gets down underneath, it runs down, then it have something to burn because they're already dried out. So now we could burn. So when it's green, it wouldn't burn as easy. And when it's not, it's going to burn. My one colleague got wondering about the weight of the piece of equipment. The piece of equipment is nearly 10,000 pounds. So if it could be moved from a hurricane or not, It's about 10,000 pounds, 9,800 something pounds of, again, as we speak, you said it too, Mr. Chair, every day the dumps are burning. Every day you're smelling something different. So if for some reason you get a whole bunch of rain, because this is my experience, you get a whole bunch of rain, so Ashby can't get up on the hill to move the tractors, and it starts to spread, you're going to be getting smoke for days. So again, this is about getting the technology here. So we can move on to rules if some of you guys want. But if you don't want to, and you want, again, I want to believe, if not, I know I didn't have any town halls. The present ED right now might have met with some of the people in the residence as well. But at this point, they're going to be clear. Going forward, we'll see what we want to do, because when it's burning, everybody running for cover. This is to save all of that. And again, we can move it down today and listen to written rules and bring the other individual that you guys want to hear from in rules. And even then, if they could convince me then too in rules that I'm a member, so I'm a member, Alma is a member, Senator Francis is a member. Senator...
We ain't gonna call no senator name, Senator.
No, okay, sorry. I ain't gonna call another name. But you have two Francis, so nobody knows who I'm talking about right now. But at the end of the day, I know I'm a member of rules as well. And if somebody from DP&I could come and tell me something different than I know, they could convince me to vote no as well. So I know this is in the best interest. Bringing this technology here to the Bornadas is in the best interest of us as a people. And I rest my case at that point. We'll see where we go from here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Colleagues, we're exhausted all around on this matter. Our inquiries. Director Stevens, I give you a 30-second closeout.
Good afternoon, Senators and the listening and viewing audience. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be able to testify on this bill. This bill affects my staff significantly and the men and women in the community. One of the things that I want to make sure that I point out is that we failed. Well, this bill came before the Senate, a similar bill a few years ago. I think it was the 32nd or 34th legislature, and it was unsuccessful. Hence, the situation that we're in right now. The air curtain was introduced back then. We were ready to bring it in. It was going to be paid for by FEMA, the Army Corps of Engineers, at no cost to the government. A bill was created that stopped it from happening. And since then, we've had the Bavoni landfill fire, the most major one that we've had, that lasted between 17 and 21 days. There were ways that we could have prevented it before it got to the situation that we're currently in. And we didn't do anything about it. We have the opportunity to do something about it now. Let's take the action that needs to be taken. I keep hearing the mention of a town hall not being held. I know for a fact this evening I'm attending, along with my waste management counterparts, a town hall at the Bavoni, discussion with the Bavoni community. So again, those of you that would like to be there, please come. Voice your concerns. We're there, and again, it's about the safety, I know, for the entire community, but let's think about the community at large, not just that community, but everybody else that's affected. And I think we'll be better off for it. Again, thank you for the opportunity to testify on this bill.
Thank you. Director Joshin.
Thank you, Senator. In 2017, we had the opportunity with the same technology, like Director Stevens said. We chose not to. Since then, we've been educated. Leadership has gone up and seen this technology work. The EPA has even weighed in on this. It's a visual inspection, so the technology is there. We stand behind this as leadership, and we're looking for the legislature to provide leadership support for this also. But thank you for the opportunity to present testimony from Baitima's perspective today.
Thank you. Dr. Gunnell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for...
Just speak into the mic, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Like I said, I cannot take a position on this. I hope that the information that I gave was useful. If there is a need for more information or for more data collection, we are happy to help. That's what we do at the university. I just also want to take this opportunity to mention that the issue of air quality in the territory is an important one, especially the car emissions, as Senator mentioned and as the gentleman mentioned. So we're also happy to discuss any need or interest that the legislature have regarding car pollution or air quality effect from cars. Thank you.
Thank you. CFO Griffith, Darrell Griffith.
Thank you, sir. As was mentioned in the testimony, we've had over 15 fires in the landfill in the last 2 years. So that means every other month there's a fire at one of our landfills. So we want to use this technology to help reduce the number of uncontrollable wildfires that are happening on the landfill. And this will give us a way to have a controlled burn that would dramatically reduce the amount of emissions that are being put into the atmosphere. So we ask for your support. We're going to share the message with the videos to the community, and we want to be able to move forward to help safeguard the lives of all of us here, because we're all Virgin Islanders, and this will directly affect every single one of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And before I release the testifiers, I want to say thank you all, to include you, Mr. Ashby, for being here today. I just want to take this privilege before we break and caucus and I dismiss the testifiers to introduce my intern from the Ivana Udorika, Ms. Fritz. Ms. Solani Fritz, come in the front here for me, please. So everybody, I was boasting about theirs, but this is my hidden weapon in the background. Ms. Fritz, 17-year-old senior, hailing from the Ivana Udorika High School, the Devil Rays country. Her future goals and aspirations, she's a senior, like I said, are to graduate from high school and get into the Air Force, and she want to graduate from basic training with high honors as well, and go to the University of Embry-Riddle and study aviation. She want to become a commercial airline pilot and fly in the Boeing 787 and rank up and become a captain. She also want to rank up and become a colonel in the military and retire. Before retirement, she want to buy homes and invest in stocks and properties and become a multi-millionaire. So we're going to continue to support Ms. Fritz and her endeavors, and as a good community spirit, we're going to continue praying for her and her family. Her parents are Lister Fabian Fritz, and her father is Somes Fritz. And this is Ms. Fritz, and I present Ms. Fritz to you and this wider community. Ms. Fritz, I admire you. Don't become a senator. You'd never become the multi-millionaire. You may sit down. Testifiers, you are dismissed. Colleagues, the Committee on Government Operation Veterans Affairs is going to take a 5-minute recess as we caucus on this bill.